Is Dave Filoni gatekeeping Star Wars? New reports suggest Filoni Gilroy internal battle as Lucasfilm creative chief rejects stories that don't match his vision. A bombshell allegation is making the rounds in the entertainment world, one that might finally explain the creative logjam at Lucasfilm. According to a new report, Dave Filoni could be gatekeeping Star Wars, rejecting pitches that don't align with his vision of what Star Wars should be. On a recent episode of the House of R podcast, Joanna Robinson, a pop culture commentator and podcaster with industry access, dropped a major claim. According to her, multiple insiders say Andor, the critically acclaimed series from Tony Gilroy, is disliked by many within Lucasfilm. The reason? It doesn't fit Dave Filoni's narrow definition of what Star Wars should be. And because of that, pitches that take the franchise in fresh directions are allegedly getting blocked before they even get off the ground. I have heard from so many other people who have gone in to pitch Lucasfilm and have not made it past the Filoni wall, she said, and Tony Gilroy sort of snuck his way around via his relationship with Kathy Kennedy. Robinson calls it the Filoni wall, and it paints a disturbing picture of a creative bottleneck where one man's preferences are dictating the future of a billion-dollar franchise. Well, that certainly sounds interesting. Really stoking the fires of this internal civil war narrative. I wouldn't be surprised if Doomcock comes out with a video soon, grifting off of this bullshit. And I do think this rumor will spread because it sounds kinda believable. Filoni has been doing his own thing with Star Wars since he started working at Lucasfilm. He used the Clone Wars to tell whatever story he wanted and disregarded all of the expanded universe, and went behind George's back to implement creative ideas that he knew George would not agree with, and ideas he knew would directly contradict the established canon. And that's why the Clone Wars does not fit into the canon of real Star Wars. But luckily for Filoni, it does fit within the canon of Disney, despite it still ruining Revenge of the Sith. Andor's internal opposition. Despite widespread praise from fans and critics, Andor was reportedly treated as a nuisance internally. Robinson noted that many within Lucasfilm, excluding Kathleen Kennedy, don't like the way Andor is constantly referred to as the good one. She says there's been a quiet civil war between Filoni's camp and Gilroy's style, with the latter only succeeding thanks to Kathleen's personal support. That's a stunning admission. If true, rather than embracing Andor's success as a path forward, Lucasfilm appears more interested in preserving the status quo. And the status quo means funneling nearly everything through Filoni's lens, a tactic that hasn't been working well for Disney Star Wars. Some of this does not sound real. There just isn't some sort of a civil war. Between who? Filoni's camp and Gilroy's style? What the fuck does that even mean? So it's not a civil war between people, and it's more people who work at Lucasfilm don't like the style of Andor? What? Whether you like Andor or not, whether you like Filoni's garbage or not, Andor does not feel like Star Wars, and if you praise it as the best Star Wars content since the original trilogy, you're not a real Star Wars fan, it's that simple. From Lucas Padawan to corporate Sith. Dave Filoni rose to prominence as George Lucas's close collaborator on the Clone Wars. For a time, many fans believed he was the chosen heir to Lucas's creative legacy, but over the years, that reputation has eroded. Filoni's own projects, most notably the widely panned Ahsoka series, have failed to resonate with general audiences, despite heavy marketing and fanfare. Critics called Ahsoka dull, bloated, and utterly boring. Yet instead of course correcting, Lucasfilm has doubled down. Even more telling, Filoni has been one of the most aggressively promoted supporters of The Acolyte, a series that has already divided fans before its release thanks to its overt political messaging and focus on ideological themes. Far from being a guardian of Lucas's vision, Filoni now appears to be a leading force behind the studio's most polarizing output. If Filoni is gatekeeping Star Wars and filtering all pitches before they make it up the ladder, it could explain why we've seen such formulaic storytelling from Lucasfilm in the years since Filoni was made the chief creative officer. Notably, there have been 3 different series that focus on witches and witchcraft, with aggressive, progressive, ideological messaging. It has been pointed out by many that Filoni's wife, Anne Convery, once listed her pronouns on social media as she, her, that witch. She also posted photos of herself drinking from a mug that featured pentagrams, along with a slew of other media that shows her in witch hats, or otherwise celebrating fictional witches. So, it's altogether possible, though not confirmed, that this push towards witches in Star Wars is coming directly from the Filoni family. Jesus Christ. Alright, first let's start with this whole narrative that he was once the Padawan of Lucas or the heir to his legacy. That's not a real thing. Sure, he worked with George, but I feel like it was Filoni who started spreading that idea that he was Lucas's apprentice. And then Filoni's cronies, his goons, started spreading that rumor as well. And now it's just something people believe even though it's bullshit. And I don't think you can blame this all on Filoni. He's working in tandem with Kathleen Kennedy. This article seems to try to defend her, but she's really the one doing this with Dave Filoni. It's both of them together. Dave Filoni Star Wars is Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars, and Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars is Dave Filoni Star Wars. They want the same things. And trying to argue that is just pure cope. So sorry if you can't accept that, but that's kind of your problem. Filoni gatekeeping Star Wars. A real problem? If the gatekeeping allegation is true, it confirms long-standing fears from the fan base. Lucasfilm's creative stagnation may not just be incompetence, it might be intentional. Creators with new ideas are reportedly hitting a wall unless their work conforms to a very specific set of tastes. Tastes defined by Filoni himself. Andor, despite its critical success, now looks like the exception that proved the rule. And if internal resistance to that kind of storytelling continues, it may be a long time before we see anything like it again. Okay. And there are stories in the expanded universe that are far better than Andor. Stories that are far superior to anything coming out of Hollywood these days, and especially Disney. I just thought the comments on this article were pretty funny. They are both woke clowns, so I support neither. Plus, this seems like the same cope saying that Filoni was fighting Kennedy a couple of years ago. Everybody at Lucasfilm is awful. Totally based and true. But isn't that his job? Weren't we complaining not that long ago that Star Wars was letting too much in? Trying auteur directors, niche projects, weird stuff that wasn't Star Wars enough? Weren't we hoping for a strong hand at the tiller that wasn't KK's? Didn't Lucas do the same thing when it was his baby? Filoni's hand isn't all that strong, and we may not like his choices, but Dave Filoni does what he's being paid to do. Isn't news. Yeah, and for the most part, I feel like he's kind of got a point. However, Dave's hand, his influence over Star Wars, is accompanied by Kathleen Kennedy, whether you like it or not. So yeah, what do you guys think? Dave Filoni, gatekeeping Star Wars. R.I.P. Gilroy's goobers. Maybe the Filoni faithful are gonna like this? Who knows? Does anyone even care about Disney Star Wars that much anymore? I don't even think it fucking matters. That's all I had to say. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Happy birthday, George Lucas. And I'll see you guys later.